people accused of fraud and corruption between Bosasa and the Prisons Department have appeared in court this morning. Meanwhile, the other two accused, including Angelo Agrizzi, were not in court today due to their illness. Our reporter, Kailihle Komalo, has more. Let's cross now live to him. Kailihle, thank you so much for being at court for us today. Can you just tell us what actually happened? I believe there was a postponement.
Well, that's right, Annika. A very short day here in Pretoria at the Specialized Commercial Crimes Court. So, in essence, the former Correctional Services Commissioner, Mr. Lindam T, alongside Mr. Richard Gillingham, also a former CFO from the department as well, they appeared. But of course, the two, Mr. Agrizzi, the former Bosasa Chief Operating Officer, and also alongside Mr. Fantoner, he's also a former Bosasa CFO. So they could not come through due to their ill health. But now the reason for the postponement is around the pressing issue where Mr. Lindam T wants to go through the very important documents, so he requires the hard copies. So the matter now will be had on the 28th of October. But Annika, to try and understand this particular case, because it has to do with 4 tenders dating back to 2004 all the way to 2007 as well. So quite a number of tenders around installation of CCTV cameras and other important equipment. So joining us now is Sindisiwa Seboka from the Investigating Directorate. So ma'am, thank you so much indeed for your time. So this particular postponement from your side as the Investigating Directorate, maybe just your initial reaction to today's developments.
Unfortunately, in court, we were told in the main 1.8 billion rand case that one of the accused has contracted COVID, while the other accused, Mr. Angelo Agrizzi, has made it known on numerous occasions before this very court that he's unable to come until he gets the COVID-19 vaccination. His doctor has actually cited those reasons, and many others that obviously I cannot disclose before TV. But what I can essentially say is that then we were also notified in court that one of the accused, the first accused, Lindam T, wants to do an inspection in loco, basically to additionally peruse the docket that we've already furnished months ago. We must state it on the record also that as the Investigating Directorate, we've done our part. Full disclosure has taken place. It's now months back, to be quite precise. It's now on the accused side where they keep on requesting postponements for additional documents or to additionally peruse. So this time is for them to additionally peruse the docket.
And just once again, I mean, it's a very serious case. 4 tenders worth over 1.8 billion rand. So far, I mean, this has, dates back to 2004. From your side, do you have your ducks in a row come the 28th of October?
It took extensive work before we got to this point, also by the assistance of prosecutors from the SCCU, and then the Investigating Director took over the case. Remember that this case was unrolled in January, February 2009, and the Investigating Directorate only took up office later in that year, around May. So with that said, it's extensive work that was done by the SCCU prosecutors, and then we took up the docket. However, before we enroll any matter before a court of law, we make sure that our ducks are in a row. We make sure that we are ready to proceed. But what we want to also emphasize is that this case is not just a case about 1.8 billion, but it's about the buttering system, the underhandedness that took place before these contracts were actually entered into that we're fighting. Because it cannot be that those in power can then help benefit people that they're in relationships, whether it's through bribery or gratification or the likes, in order to benefit them. Our big nub of contestation in this particular court is that that cannot be allowed.
And just before I let you go, ma'am, obviously, looking at the condition of Mr. Agrizzi, it's been an albatross in your neck where his health condition has always been hampering the cases from going ahead. Are you perhaps looking at having a virtual session, as it were?
So definitely going to explore all the options that we could possibly get into. But with Mr. Angelo Agrizzi, in another matter that we brought him to court, it's the 800,000 rand case with Mr. Vincent Smith. In that matter, we opted to do a separation of trial in order to uphold the constitutional right of Mr. Vincent Smith for a speedy and fair trial. So in order to hear him differently when he has since recovered. However, with that said, in this matter, we're going to explore all explore the avenues, because it cannot be that in terms of one particular accused, arrangements need to be made in order to accommodate them. But with that said, a medical doctor has provided a detailed prognosis. So as for us, we can only do as much as we possibly can, bring the suggestions to the court, but it's also within the presiding judicial officer's mandate to then decide whether to grant that or not.
All right, thank you so much indeed, Annika. That was, of course, Sindisiwe Seboka from the Investigating Directorate. And I can tell you this much, we got an opportunity to speak to Mr. Agritse's lawyer, and he spoke about him being in a permanent oxygen and went as far as indicating that he is housebound. And of course, in light of COVID-19 as well, it's part of the precaution that he stays at home. But come 28th of October, then this matter will be brought back here in court.
Thank you so much, Kalihle Kumbalo. Perhaps Mr. Agritse could do testimony from Zoom at home, although I suppose there could be difficulties there with cross-examination, but he really is integral to that case.